Wild card weekend is coming in hot with the first game kicking off in just a little bit over 24 hours. What we're going to do today is go through all 6 games, talk about some props, break down our favorite bets for this weekend, and take your questions to get you set for what should be a fantastic weekend of football. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A. That's right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter channels. My name is Jim Sannes. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberfire.com. Joined here by Brandon Gdula. Jessica Gridiron will be joining us in just a little bit to break down her thoughts on Wild Card Weekend as well. We'll be talking to her about her thoughts on this weekend's games. You can find Jessica on Twitter at Gridiron and Wine. Brandon Gdula, of course, the managing editor of numberfire.com. Brandon, happy playoffs to you. How are you doing today?
Good. We broke down this entire weekend of games yesterday, and we got some news, I think, that's going to change a little bit with some running back health, which might open up some value, which would be fun.
I was curious if you were referring to Leonard Fournette or Darrell Williams there. Probably
a little both.
Well, both. Okay, so let's recap that before we dive into the games here. Quick reminder, you can get your questions in no matter where you're watching, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, or Twitter. We'll be less question-centric today, trying to focus, go more game by game to get you set for this wild card weekend. But as always, if you got questions as we go along, some props you're checking out and want our thoughts on it, put them in chat, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Twitter. We'll get to those on the stream here. The news Brandon is referring to, starting off with Leonard Fournette. On Sunday, sounds like he's going to be a game time call. Now, as far as him from an IR perspective, if he's going to play Sunday, he must be activated by Saturday. So we'll know if he's activated by then. However, we might not know if he'll be active until Sunday morning. I'm guessing he still plays because Bruce Arians said if he's active, he'll carry the load. That to me indicates that he's probably going to play. But also, it's not a guarantee, whereas we thought it was before. I think the good thing here is that Eli Mitchell, $7,400, right by Fournette in terms of salary for the DFS slate, can make it a pretty easy swap because that game is after his. So whether it's for the Saturday through Monday slate or the Sunday only slate, you've got some options there. Other one, Clyde Edwards-Helaire ruled out, which means Darrell Williams will be the lead back for Kansas City, and he's had a really good role. So I'm guessing that's what you're referring to. Darrell Williams, $6,600. He's had a great role when CEH has been out. How are you viewing Darrell Williams in the context of the Saturday through Monday slate, now knowing that CEH is in fact out?
I think he's very much in play because he's going to open up some salary. Even a little bit of salary goes a long way on this slate, whether you can upgrade your quarterback, get up to some of the superstar wide receivers and tight ends, as opposed to bumping down into that mid-range. So I really think that any savings we can get are going to be welcomed. So for me, Darrell's definitely on the radar.
Yeah, I think that to me, he's top 4 at running back, considering salary. That depends on whether James Conner goes. If Conner can't go, Chase Edmonds is probably the number 1 running back on the slate. Fournette's up there still. Devin Singletary's up there. I think that Darrell Williams is in that discussion with those guys. That's where I'm at with him right now. We'll talk about that full game in just a bit, but let's start things off here by going with the first game of the week. That is the Raiders at the Bengals. I'll also note here, we're going to have a little competition as we did last year. We're going to give each of our analysts, me, Brandon, and Jessica, 3 units to play with for prop bets for this week. We're going to go through the show, go through each game, and let you know where we're allocating those units for this weekend. Let's start things off with this Raiders at the Bengals game right now. The Bengals 5.5-point favorites. Total is 48.5. Brandon, looking at this game, I'm very hesitant on the Raiders. And I was going to make one of my bets be their team total under 22, but that changed. It's now 21. So I'm avoiding that. So I have no plays in this game for our stream. What are you seeing in this one here?
I do have one of my 3 units on this game, and it is going to be just on the under. I think that this game it's projecting to be cold. There's going to be some moderate wind, and the Raiders, since their bye and without Henry Ruggs, have been, I think you would put it, aggressively mediocre offensively.
They've been kind of bad.
Well, their underlying data kind of has them a little bit below league average, so it's not as bad as I thought. But either way, it's not really what you want to see for an over. And also, as much as I hate to say it, the Bengals have had a lot more scoring luck than any other team this year, according to the data that I use. So their points per play versus expected points per play is the biggest outlier in my model. So that's something. Even if you adjust it for samples with T. Higgins healthy, and excluding games, the Week 18 game, I'm on the under here. So with the weather being what it is, with the two offenses maybe having some question marks, I think this game plays to the under. That does not mean that I think there are no plays in this game from a 6-game slate standpoint. I love Jamar Chase, Darren Waller, but I think the under is definitely my pick here on the over-under here.
So I did bet the under for this game. It's not one of my picks for the show, but I did bet the under as well. I got it at 49. It's 48.5 right now. So neither of us like points. So let's try to get some options in here. Bring in Jessica Gridiron. We'll bring her onto the stream and see what her thoughts are on this game. First of all, though, Jessica, welcome. Happy Wild Card Weekend. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to see you guys.
Yeah, happy to have you here and happy to get a little competition cooking over here. As mentioned, we each get 3 units apiece. Brandon is putting one of his units on the under in this game at 48.5. What's your view of Raiders Bengals and any plays for you in this game?
That's funny. I heard both of you guys were liking the under in this game, and I actually like the over.
Yeah, so let's go.
let the games begin, right?
I love it.
Yes, and for our game that we have going on, I will throw a unit on this too. So
Perfect.
I like it. I like the over in this game. I know you guys put out some good points talking about especially the weather and this Raiders team. However, I still feel like they find a way to be hungry at times, and the Bengals defense, as good as it's been, they do struggle when it comes to stopping the pass. So I feel like the Raiders will be able to keep up, and that especially, and both of them, they also have a really strong run game. So I feel like they'll both be able to pound the rock and again be able to move the ball down the field and put points up on the board. So that's the standpoint I like for the over. Now, I do have some prop bets I look into, but I'll go ahead and let you go first, talking about the prop bets.
Yeah, so for me, I wanted to look at, I think the one that stands out. I have not bet this, and it's not going to be one of the plays of the game for our little game here. I did have some interest in the Josh Jacobs rushing plus receiving yardage prop. It's 83.5, minus 114 on the over. He's been at about 97 yards from scrimmage per game since the snap rate increase. So I had some interest there on Josh Jacobs. Where were you turning towards, Jessica, in terms of props for this one?
Yeah, so when it comes to props, I have quite a few that kind of stick out to me. The ones that I like, anytime touchdowns, T. Higgins at plus 135 I saw, and Jamar Chase at minus 105. Reason I like it, I know that fantasy's over, but I leaned on fantasy a little bit to kind of give me some backup reasons on why I chose some of these prop bets. Mm-hmm. And the reason being is the Raiders have allowed the 7th most fantasy points to receivers on the season. So those were some good ones that stood out to me. One of my favorites, though, is Hunter Renfrow at plus 170. Mm-hmm. He's had 9 touchdowns on the season, and he scored a touchdown in 8 out of 17 games. So that one stood out to me as well. As when it comes to Renfrow too, when it comes to receiving props, I also liked the over 55.5 at minus 110. He's averaging 61 yards per game on the season. He's hit that mark 9 out of 17 games, which is really good too. And another one too is Jamar Chase over 70.5 at minus 110 receiving yards. He's done that 8 out of 17 games. Plus, you have Joe Burrow, who's second in the league in EPA and CPOE composite. So those are some ones that really stuck out to me. And then a fun one, too, was actually Jamar Chase scoring 2 touchdowns in a game at plus 600, which I know that's kind of going out a little bit out there, but he's been known to do it a couple times this season in a game. So if you're looking to, I guess just a fun prop, that one stuck out to me.
That is fun. So the Hunter Renfrow anytime touchdown one, I've been looking at their numbers since the bye week. So with no Henry Ruggs and the games that Waller has played, Renfro's red zone share in that span is still 25%. Scored twice, obviously, on Sunday with Waller being there. That's a good red zone share. So I think that that one makes a lot of sense. Brandon, any props for you for Bengals Raiders, or are we all set there?
I think we're pretty set on this game.
All right, let's move on to the Saturday night game, and we got to bring in Grim Fan here, asking if I've gotten my Kendrick Bourne jersey yet. No, it's not happening. I refuse. How dare you? And honestly, when I look at this game, I think that there are some good numbers in this game. They are not actually. I have some interest in the Jacoby Myers receiving yardage prop. It was 44.5. It's 45.5 now. I still think that one's fine. The big one for me, though, and one of my plays in our 3-unit contest for today is Devin Singletary's rushing plus receiving yardage. It's 80.5. That is like 17 yards too low, because in the 5 games he has been the team's lead back, he's at 97 yards per game in that span. So it's a situation where it's going to be very cold. They may skew a bit more run heavy than usual. That could help Singletary here, but also multiple paths to an over because he does get work as both a rusher and a receiver. So I like Singletary over 80.5 for this game. That is one of my 3 units for this game. Brandon, your thoughts, Patriots versus Bills.
Yeah, so look, I'm not the biggest fan of this New England offense when it comes to daily fantasy by any means. So I think I'm a little bit skewed with their expectations. However, my data has their offense is pretty dang good, adjusted for everything. So I think this game is actually going to be a little bit closer than I initially thought. Kind of gets me on a little bit of a stay away from any outright bets.
Okay.
And as far as the way that New England shares the ball in terms of their pass catchers, I couldn't quite get myself toward any of their pass catching props, but I love the Singletary call. His role has been phenomenal. I think they're going to lean on him, especially if the weather, it is as forecast.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Okay, Jessica, what are you seeing for Patriots versus Bills on Saturday night?
Yeah, so when I looking at these, the prop bets that stick out to me is definitely in the run game. So
Okay.
I have Damian Harris for anytime touchdown at plus 110. I really liked. Bills are 21st against running backs and fantasy points. Another one that stood out to me was also just Damian Harris in general. So I like Damian Harris at 80 plus yards at plus 270, and his rushing yards at over 58.5. I look really good too. And the reason I like this is because when you look at them when they've already played each other this season, in week 13, he had 111 yards and 1 touchdown. And then in week 16, he had 103 yards and 3 touchdowns. So for our game, I will go ahead and throw.
Okay.
Yes, I'm going to throw. We can do half points too, right? If I
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Do whatever you want. You can do quarter points. I don't care.
All right.
You get to make the rules here.
Just because I like 2 of them. So I'll do a half a point on Damian Harris, 80 plus yards. And then I also want to do another one, which is, sorry, I'm going to stick this out. Another one stick out to me real quick. Mac Jones, his rushing yards are over 7.5 at minus 130. And in week 13, he rushed for 19. And then in week 16, he rushed for 33 yards. So I will do a half unit on Mac Jones, and I'll do a half unit on Damian Harris at 80 plus yards.
I love it. That's really fun. And that Damian Harris game, the first one you mentioned, he had 110 yards despite leaving at like halftime with a hamstring injury. Like, it was an absurd game. He was awesome there. And that second one, I mean, I did not have him in DFS that day, and he had 3 touchdowns. I was like driving, and we get these notifications for every touchdown. It's like Damian Harris touchdown, Damian Harris touchdown, Damian Harris touchdown. Just drove me nuts. So he is the bane of my existence. But I agree that the over on the rushing prop at 58.5, because they seem to like him most. A lot of times in the playoffs, we see teams focus on the guys they think are best. They concentrate the usage a bit more, and that leads to inflated totals from what we've seen before. I think Harris is their best guy. I think that they think Harris is their best guy too. I would not be shocked if his usage does go up in this game. So Jessica is going with Mac Jones over 7.5 and Harris over 80 plus yards for a half a unit apiece. Let's move now to the Sunday games, and I have my first spread bet of our game here. I like the Eagles plus 8.5, and if this game were being played in normal weather, I would not take this one. My numbers like this value regardless. And like, I disagree with my numbers plenty often. Like, they want me to take the Steelers plus 12.5 on Sunday. Absolutely not. No, I'm not doing that. But they see value in the Eagles plus 8.5. And we've seen this total come down because of the weather. I don't think we've seen enough reaction on the spread in this game, because if it's going to be a sloppy game, where you see the ground games be more focal with a lot of rain, with heavy winds, that's a situation I do think benefits the Eagles in this game. The Bucs rush defense is very good. But the Eagles' offensive line is amazing. Their ground attack has been very good. I think that they are well positioned to excel in these elements. We have not seen a reaction on the spread in this game. So to me, Eagles plus 8.5, a really fun way to play this game. That'll be one of my units for our contest as well. Eagles plus 8.5. Jessica, I'm sorry with you for this one, and see what your thoughts are. Eagles versus Bucks. Broad thoughts for you and anything that stands out to you in this game.
Yeah, so I'm with you on the Eagles at plus 8.5. That's just a bet that I'm already looking at that I'm leaning towards. But as far as our game goes, when looking at these props, some anytime touchdowns, I kind of like Jalen Hurts at plus 230, just because in their last matchup in week 6, he ran in two touchdowns. So, and we all know how he's great on his legs. So that is something that I will do. I will put a half a unit on our game.
Perfect.
And then another one, which I kind of like too, is I'm going to go Jalen Hurts throws an interception.
Oh.
At minus 154. I kind of thought that was great too. I just think in case he does have to end up playing catch up, even though I expect the game to be low scoring, he's going to rely on having to throw the ball and going up against this defense. I think it's possible for him to throw one.
Do you want to make that a half unit for the thing or just a general bet that you like for this weekend?
Half unit for the game.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So we're leaning on Hurts here. I like that. Okay, so Jalen Hurts, interception, you said that was minus 130?
Minus 154.
Minus 154. Okay, perfect. All righty, there we go. All right, Brandon, what do you got for this game? Eagles versus Bucks.
Yeah, overall, I have this game closer than the spread too. I have the spread at 6.2 points, so I like the call with the Eagles. I would love the over if not for the weather, so I'm not going to go so far as to bet the under. Unfortunately, I can't go for the over as a result of the weather. If I were looking for a prop, and this isn't for the game, Leonard Fournette, 58.5 rushing yards. I take the over there at minus 114. In games where he's played at least half the snaps this season, averaging 64.1 rushing yards. If he's healthy, if he's able to play, he's going to be the guy. And with the weather being what it is, they should lean on him. I think he could get over that 58.5 mark.
Yeah, the reports today did definitely get me a bit wary of Fournette, but I think, the good thing is if he's inactive, that bet gets voided. So I think betting Fournette stuff now is fine because he's not going to be active and not play a whole lot. He could aggravate the injury, but I think you've got some safety there. So like the house rules do benefit you here with regards to that. We did get a question or a comment from Grim Fan. Any prop bets on a Philly upset this weekend? This is the spot where we align, Grim Fan. I know that we butt heads on Kendrick Bourne, but we are in lockstep, baby. Go Birds on Sunday at 1. Let's move now to the 49ers at the Cowboys. It's a 3-point spread in Dallas's favor. Total is 51. I do a play in this game for our game, and that is Eli Mitchell, because when you look at the games where they have played since George Kittle returned, with Eli Mitchell and Deebo Samuel both being active, in those games, Eli Mitchell is at 110 yards from scrimmage per game. His rushing plus receiving prop is 91.5. That's very low. So to me, I think that one is another one where he's undervalued. So I'm going to go with Eli Mitchell over 91.5 yards in scrimmage at minus 114 as my final unit for our 3-unit game. Just think he's undervalued. So I'm going to go with that one. Jessica, what about you? What you seeing here for 49ers versus Cowboys on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, so this game's a little tricky for me because I would lean the Niners, but it's a popular dog of the week, and that's usually not a good thing. Looking at the game, though, I would lean over in general if I was to make a play on this game. Now, when it comes to the props here, I like what you're saying. These are all just kind of ones that stuck out to me. I'm not going to play them in our game, but some ones that stuck out to me were the rushing props were Deebo Samuel at over 28.5 yards at minus 118. Just because he's so great on his legs. We've seen that. And when we're looking at receiving yards, I also really like George Kittle at over 50.5 at minus 110 because Jimmy G, he just loves to throw in the slot, and Kittle has been super successful, especially as of late. And when you look at the Cowboys' weakness, that's when it comes to their defense. That's where they struggle. So I feel like Kittle could have a really explosive game in this matchup. And one more, too, that stuck out to me was Amari Cooper over 57.5 at minus 110, just because San Francisco's ranked 16th in pass DVOA. And as good as their defense is, there will be times where Dak is going to be able to light up. And I feel like Cooper will be the one to shine.
Yeah, a lot of the times when Dallas is disappointed so far this year from an output perspective, it's been because they've blown people out, and they're probably not going to blow out San Francisco here. So I think that the Amari one is interesting. CeeDee Lamb too also is kind of intriguing
Mm-hmm.
at 62.5. I think both those numbers are very fair with the roles I'd expect them to have for Sunday. What about you, Brandon? What do you see in this game?
So yeah, I also would lean the over. It's not a bet for me on for the game here, but this 49ers offense with Jimmy Garoppolo, Debo, and Kittle all healthy and playing relevant snaps, they've honestly been one of the better offenses in football. And then Dak Prescott in games even without Michael Gallup, who you and I both love, Jim. This offense has been phenomenal as well. So I would lean the over. But as for the game itself, I'm actually going to go with something Eli Mitchell based, and that's his over 19.5 carries, which is minus 114. Projections wise, I have Mitchell just kind of right on par, but I think that I would bump that up myself. He's had 21 carries in each of his 2 games since returning, despite playing between 50 and 60% of the 49ers snaps coming off that knee injury. We had seen his snap rate before that creep up to 70% and then 86% in the 2 games prior to that knee injury. So even with the snap scaled back, the workload hasn't been. It's now the playoffs. He's now, 3 weeks removed from his first game back. So I think that the over 19.5 is very much in play. He's had 21 carries at least in 5 straight games. And again, that's with kind of his snaps being scaled back. So I really think that, he's going to go over. He's going to get his 20. He's going to get his 25 carries. That's just how they want to use him. And even if they're trailing, which isn't really what the spread suggests, this team still wants to run the ball even when trailing. So.
And my numbers do expect this game to be competitive, which does bode well for him hitting the over there. He had like 27 carries in a game a couple times ago. So 19.5, very fair number for Eli. So we are all in on Eli Mitchell in this game. Let's move now to the Sunday night game and start things off with a haiku from Bethany Peters. Najee and his thumb, to play him or not to play, or just Deontay. So Bethany got it right. We got a full haiku out of this one here. Najee Harris, obviously a full practice on Friday, and he is questionable to play in this game. So Brandon, we didn't talk a lot about Najee on the Thursday show because I don't want to talk about this offense. But just any thoughts for you on Najee and any read for you on this game in general?
Bethany, I'm sorry. No Najee for me, no Deontay either, unless we're talking really small slates. But on the 6-game slate, I don't want to get much exposure, if any, to this offense.
Should I use Cowboys and Chiefs or Steelers?
Right. So for me, I'm not going to talk myself into Najee or Deontay based on how Ben Roethlisberger has been playing over the past 4 games. He got put on the injury report 6 games ago, but in his past 4, we've really seen his ADOT scale back. And this offense has been horrific since then, with his ADOT at a 5.7. So I'm kind of out on the Steelers. I will say, though, Jim, in fairness, my numbers also see this a little bit closer than the spread, but I would also not bet that.
Do it. No, do it, you coward. Do it. Do it.
Not a chance.
Do it. I'm not doing it. You can do it.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. Jessica, what about you? Will you take the Steelers plus 12.5, or are we all out?
I'm out on this one.
Okay,
I could just,
good.
I highlighted a couple props that stood out to me, but again, just where I was like, if you want to throw some money on this game, these ones stood out to me. But other than that, no, this game is kind of a stay away from me.
Okay. So what are you seeing as being valuable here?
Yeah, so if you were to throw some money on this game, something that stood out to me was first touchdown and money line parlay with Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City at plus 650. The Steelers, they're ranked 27th in rush DVOA, so we clearly know that they're going to have a strong run game in this matchup. And then, of course, Kansas City should have no issues winning this game either.
So this just happened recently. CH got ruled out.
He did.
So that was very recent. Would you transition that to Darrell Williams though?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Okay,
Yes.
I like it.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't catch.
No,
it
that
when
just
you got rolled
happened.
out.
Just
Okay.
happened. You're good.
Yeah. So even with him, I thought he's been a great backup, and I still feel like that's a good possibility to have happen. And another one, first half total over 23.5 at minus 110. I still feel like, even the last time they faced each other, Kansas City put up 3 touchdowns before the half. And then and then the Steelers, I think they also got one. So just saying, it's possible that the Steelers are that the Kansas City's gonna come out hot. They're gonna put a bunch of points up on the board, and then second half they're just gonna come out and run the ball.
I agree. I think that if you're looking at the total in this game, you should do the first half total, because 23.5 to me is a better number than 46.5, given the way exactly what you said, honestly, where they could just kind of throttle things down in the second half. That'd be my concern with the full game total. First half, not as much. You can't really do that. So I think that that's the way to play things there. On the subject of Darrell Williams, his rushing plus receiving yardage prop is now up. It is 82.5. I like that. I think the over there is very in play. I was trying to figure out in my head because I didn't think of the up yet, just because CEH was rolled out so recently. I was thinking 90 was the number where I would cut it off. So 82.5, that's a good amount of cushion. I think that is a good number here. I think that they rightfully believe he's their best option in the backfield right now. So I think that is a good number and one that I would take. Let's move now to Monday Night Football, Cardinals versus the Rams. We'll have a full stream on Monday to break down that game as well. 4 o'clock on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. But right now the spread is Rams minus 3.5. Total is 49.5. Jessica, what are you seeing in this game? The third time we have seen Rams versus Cardinals this year.
Yeah, so if I was to make a play, I'm honestly leaning the under at 49.5 in this game at minus 110. Yeah, these are both two teams that are playing extremely well. We know what their strengths are offensively. And then, of course, look at their defense. Both of them, the Rams, they have a top 5 defense in DVOA when it comes to the pass and the rush. They're actually 5th in rush, 6th in pass. And then you look at Arizona, and they're top 6 in defense in DVOA with the rush at 6th and the pass at 5th. So I feel like both of these teams, as good as their offenses are, their defenses are just as comparable, and it's going to be a tough matchup, and it's prime time, and that's why I like it. So this will be my last half unit play for our game that we have going on for the under.
Okay, so Rams, Cardinals, under. I'm writing this down on my sheet so I can keep track, because otherwise I'll forget. Under 49.5, minus 110, half unit. Okay, perfect. So Jessica is going at the under in this game. Brandon, what about you? What do you see here for Rams versus Cardinals?
Yeah, so I got 1 unit left for the game here, and I'm going to put that on the Cardinals plus 3.5. These teams split the season series, and the Cardinals are without DeAndre Hopkins, but their offense without him, since Zach Ertz's role increased, is about even with the Rams since Odell Beckham had his role increase. The Matthew Stafford hate, as I talked about on the Heat Check with you, Jim, yesterday, has gone a bit too far, but even with that, I have this game really close. It's basically a pick 'em for me. So if I can get 3.5 points there, I take it even at 3, but 3.5 really has me on Arizona to get the points here.
Yeah, my numbers had this one at 1.3 points. The Rams minus 1.3. I know you said yours were a bit more towards the Cardinals as well. So if I were to bet the spread here, it would be the Cardinals plus 3.5. I couldn't do it because there's a mental block. And I knew it was at 4 at one point, and I can't mentally get over that hump of it used to be 4. You can still get a 3.5. It's mental roadblock there. So
you'll like this one too.
Okay.
Tyler Higbee to score plus 240.
I don't like that.
His role's actually been really good in 3 games.
I know
his role's been really good.
Do you know how much money I've lost in Tyler Higbee this year from DFS?
A
lot. It's bad. I'm not a fan. He's not invited to the hot tub that I don't have because of Tyler Higbee. But plus 240 is a fair number.
It is.
But I'm mad about it.
It is. I also like Blake Jarwin at plus 700, but I didn't want to recommend that one too heavily. So
you just did now. I
know. I figured I'd at least give my Higbee take here.
Okay, fair enough. I would say if we're trying to make a speculative play right now, James Conner has not practiced yet. I think there is a legitimate chance that he does not go. Therefore, I would have interest in Chase Edmonds at plus 200 for an anytime touchdown, because that is one where he's going to play. He's been practicing. He said he'll play, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel good that he's going to go. If he does go and Conner does not, that number is going to look ridiculous. I think he'd be plus 110 just because he doesn't get a ton of red zone work even when Conner's out. I think he's actually at 47%. Anyway, 2-1 is a good number. So I would take that now. If Conner plays, whatever, I think that's a fair gamble to take. Grim Fan is wondering if I like Higbee or Bourne more. I've used Higbee in a DFS lineup in my life. Therefore I like him more. That's the way that one goes. That's all we got here. Jessica, any final thoughts for you on Wild Card Weekend, which should be a pretty fun weekend of football?
Man, no, I feel like we hit all the major points. I'm just excited to see how these games turn out. But it's been fun. I normally don't do prop bets, so it was really fun being able to dive into this and make some hopefully win some bets against you guys.
I know. I'm pretty fired up about this. I think it should be a pretty fun competition. And we'll see. I think that probably plan on having this next week again too. So hopefully we'll get to talk to you then. Check out Jessica on Twitter at Gridiron and Wine. Find Brandon on Twitter at Gdula13. Brandon, any final thoughts for you before we send people off to enjoy their football and this weekend?
Don't play the Steelers in DFS.
Don't play the Steelers in DFS. I love it. That is all that we have here for today. I am also on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JIMSANNES. Big thank you to Joy Affleck, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Joy, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you with your bets. Good luck to you with your DFS lineups. Enjoy the football. We'll talk to you once again on Monday to get you set for Rams versus Cardinals. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.